A government raid that left a music icon's mother dead. Radio stations too terrified to speak a song's title on air.
Get ready, attention, quick march, slow march, left on.
And the track that made Time magazine count orgasms like they were keeping score.
Sweet, sweet love to you.
The 1970s handed us Sonic Rebellion wrapped in rhythm. Songs so dangerous that BBC censors hit the ban button, church leaders launched boycotts, and one military regime burned down a recording studio. Moans that triggered moral panic. Protest lyrics blacklisted by Armed Forces Radio. Instrumental grooves so suggestive, DJs smuggled bootleg copies. At number 7, the track that sparked an international manhunt. At number 3, the first platinum single despite being labeled sex rock. And at number 1, proof that a single word repeated can shake a nation. Number 10, The Temptation, Ball of Confusion. Motown built an empire on polished love songs and pristine vocal arrangements. Then 1970 arrived and The Temptations torched that playbook with rapid-fire chaos. Ball of Confusion wasn't a song. It was a news ticker set to a psychedelic funk groove, listing every crisis tearing America apart in real time. Vietnam casualties, segregation battles, economic inflation, political corruption, environmental collapse, all delivered in breathless succession over a hypnotic bass line that refused to let you look away. The production itself mirrored the disorder. Horns stabbing from different directions, percussion scattering like breaking glass, vocals overlapping until the mix felt like controlled panic. Radio programmers stared at their turntables, unsure what they'd just heard. Several major U.S. stations quietly restricted airplay, worried the barrage of social commentary sounded too radical, while protests raged in city streets outside their windows. But here's where it gets stranger. 2 decades later, history repeated itself. When the 1991 Gulf War erupted, the BBC temporarily banned the track from broadcast. The concern wasn't profanity or violence, it was tone. That refrain about the world being in chaos hit too close to wartime reality for comfort. A song censored for being too real, which only proved how timeless its message remained. From Motown's chaotic prophecy, we moved to Africa's most dangerous groove. Number 9, Fela Kuti, Zombie.
Tell him to go. Zombie not go stop unless you tell him to stop.
Released in 1976, Zombie wasn't just controversial, it was an act of war disguised as a 7-minute Afrobeat masterpiece.
Tell him to go straight. No break, no jump.
Through hypnotic horn arrangements and polyrhythmic percussion that locked into an endless trance, Fela Kuti compared Nigerian military soldiers to mindless zombies who followed orders without independent thought. The groove pulsed with deliberate repetition, the same hypnotic phrase cycling over and over, mimicking the mechanical obedience he was mocking. Saxophones wailed like sirens. Congas drove forward relentlessly. And underneath it all, a bass line that felt like marching boots you couldn't escape.
Zombie no go stop unless you tell them to stop. Zombie.
The Nigerian government took it personally. In 1977, roughly 1,000 soldiers raided Fela's Lagos compound, the self-declared Calacuta Republic. They burned his home and studio to the ground, beat his followers, and threw his 78-year-old mother from a second-story window, injuries that would later prove fatal. The album was immediately banned across Nigeria. When Fela fled to Ghana, riots erupted there too, forcing another exile. Musically, Zombie epitomized Afrobeat's fusion of James Brown funk, jazz improvisation, and West African percussion, but its legacy transcended music. One groove that shook an entire military regime and proved art could be dangerous enough to warrant an army. If one word could trigger a government assault, imagine what three could do to radio censors.
Order!
You know what breaks my heart a little? Only 1% of the people who watch R&B vinyl are actually subscribed. 99 out of 100 of you keep coming back, vibing with the grooves, feeling the stories, reliving the voices that built soul itself, but you still haven't hit that button. Think about it. You've spent time here, maybe even rediscovered a song that hit you right in the chest. And yet, you're walking away before the next track drops. Subscribing costs nothing, not a cent, but it means you'll never miss the moments that remind you who you were when that record first played. R&B vinyl isn't just music, it's memory, it's heritage. It's the pulse that still beats under everything we love. Don't just listen from the sidelines. Be part of the 1% who keep the soul alive. Hit subscribe, stay, groove, and keep the record spinning with us.
Number 8, Edwin Starr, War. In 1970, Motown Records made a calculated gamble that would redefine what protest music could sound like on mainstream radio. War started as a Temptations album track, but when Edwin Starr's volcanic voice transformed it into a 3-minute explosion of righteous fury, everything changed.
Listen to me.
Militant horn sections punched like artillery fire, drums pounded with parade ground precision, and Starr's throat-shredding delivery of that central question, what is it good for, demanded an answer from every American exhausted by Vietnam. The single shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 consecutive weeks, sold over 3 million copies, earned a gold record, and immediately got banned by U.S. Armed Forces Radio, who feared it would devastate troop morale overseas. Decades later, the song faced censorship again. During the 1991 Gulf War, the BBC banned it from broadcast. Too politically charged for wartime airwaves, they claimed. The irony, a song about the futility of conflict being silenced during conflicts, proving its message remained dangerously relevant across generations. Motown had shown protest could sound like a hit record, but one artist took that blueprint and weaponized it into something even more prophetic. Number 7, Curtis Mayfield, If There's a Hell Below, We're All Going to Go. This wasn't a song. It was a sermon delivered over psychedelic funk, and it opened Curtis Mayfield's 1970 solo debut like an air raid siren.
Lord,
thunderous bass rumbled beneath the layers of congas and distorted guitar that sounded like the apocalypse tuning up.
I'll see y'all when you get there.
Mayfield painted America as a nation on the brink. Racism, war, hypocrisy, and social collapse, all colliding in one chaotic prophecy. The arrangement mirrored that chaos deliberately. Sounds panned aggressively left and right, vocals layered into a disorienting chorus of warnings. Everything mixed just slightly too loud, too urgent, like broadcasts from the end times. The raw language and unflinching references to racial tension made numerous U.S. radio stations quietly shelve it, deeming the lyrics too controversial for mainstream airplay.
And if there's hell below.
Despite limited exposure, the track climbed to number 3 on the R&B chart and number 29 on the Hot 100. More importantly, it opened a new chapter in soul music, political, prophetic, and absolutely uncompromising. The influence rippled through every funk and hip-hop artist who came after, from Marvin Gaye to Kanye West.
That can be no show. And if there's hell.
Mayfield didn't just write about turbulent times. He broadcast Judgment Day in stereo and dared radio to turn it up. While Curtis prophesied doom, another voice rose from Harlem with poetry that couldn't be packaged for prime time. Number 6, Gil Scott-Heron. The revolution will not be televised.
You will not be able to plug in.
In 1970, Gil Scott-Heron stood on the stage and delivered what many consider the first spark that would eventually ignite hip-hop.
Woods and Steve McQueen, or Bullwinkle and Julia.
Initially performed over conga drums alone, then later re-recorded with a jazz-funk groove that felt like a pulse quickening with urgency.
Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be.
The revolution will not be televised was a direct assault on television culture and political apathy.
No, sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or the rap.
Rapid-fire references to brand names, media personalities, and consumer products stacked on top of each other like billboards blurring past on a highway.
You will not be able to stay home, brother.
The rhythm section locked into a hypnotic pocket while Scott-Heron's spoken delivery cut through with the precision of a surgeon and the fury of a preacher.
Because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised.
His message was blunt. Real social change would never arrive neatly packaged between commercial breaks.
God forbid during commercials, because the revolution will not be televised.
Though never officially bandied, the Black Power message led to quiet censorship.
TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at.
Most major U.S. stations avoided it entirely, fearing political backlash during an already explosive era. But it spread anyway, through word of mouth, poetry circuits, and college radio stations brave enough to spin it. Underground communities passed it around like contraband.
The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions.
Decades later, the Library of Congress honored the recording in the National Recording Registry, calling it culturally significant.
So damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow.
Scott-Heron's words outlived every network broadcast, proving the revolution was happening in the rhythm of resistance, not on your television screen.
Turn on and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on scat.
From spoken word prophecy to dance floor controversy that made even saying a title feel scandalous.
Portion on still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green.
Number 5, KC and the Sunshine Band, Shake Your Booty.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
By 1976, disco had conquered America, but few songs captured its joyful, carefree energy quite like this track, or caused quite as much pearl clutching over a single word. Shake Your Booty was pure kinetic momentum, a bouncy rhythm guitar riff that locked into a groove so infectious it physically compelled movement. Layered with brass stabs that punched on every other beat and a bass line that rolled forward like a wave you couldn't escape. The hook repeated endlessly, drilling into your brain with shameless repetition until resistance felt pointless. But that word, booty, sent certain radio programmers into panic mode. Some American stations outright refused to play it, claiming the term was too sexually explicit for broadcast. Others edited the song or faded it early just to avoid potential complaints from listeners who might find the supposed undertones inappropriate. The pushback accomplished nothing. Shake Your Booty exploded to number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and R&B charts simultaneously, becoming the group's 3rd chart topper. It sold over 2 million copies and cemented KC and the Sunshine Band as disco royalty. The irony? What scandalized censors was really just a simple message about confidence and having fun on the dance floor. Decades later, that joyful groove still defines an era when even a harmless word could trigger a national debate. If one word caused chaos, imagine what an entire band concept could do. Number 4, Johnny Taylor, Disco Lady. Early 1976 brought the collision of soul tradition and disco innovation, and Johnny Taylor stood right at the crossroads with a funky celebration that made moral crusaders lose their minds. Disco Lady wrote a groove provided by members of Parliament Funkadelic, a bass line that slithered and popped, drums that locked into an irresistible pocket, and horn arrangements that punched with precision. Taylor's vocals glided over the top with the smooth confidence of a seasoned performer who'd spent years mastering his craft on the Chitlin circuit. But civil rights leader Jesse Jackson condemned it as sex rock, claiming the lyrics encouraged promiscuity and signaled moral decline in black community. Some local radio stations yanked it from rotation. Others played heavily edited versions with altered intros, desperate to dodge community complaints. The controversy did absolutely nothing to slow its momentum. Disco Lady spent 4 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. 6 weeks dominating the R&B chart, sold over 2 million copies, and made history as the first single ever certified platinum by the RIAA, a milestone that legitimized disco as a commercial juggernaut. For Taylor, who'd just watched his longtime label Stax Records collapse into bankruptcy, this scandal became an unexpected career resurrection. He'd proven that no moral campaign could silence the sound of packed dance floors. From disco's platinum milestone to an instrumental that made breathing itself controversial, Number 3, the Cha-Cha-Chas, Jungle Fever. When this track hit airwaves in 1971, radio programmers had no idea what they were dealing with. A Latin soul instrumental from a Belgian studio collective that sounded innocent until the moaning started. Jungle Fever built its groove on Afro-Cuban percussion, funky bass, and swirling organ riffs that created a hypnotic, sensual atmosphere. Then came the defining element, playful, rhythmic panting that transformed an otherwise standard instrumental into something that made listeners do a double take. The breathing was deliberate, timed to the beat, and impossible to ignore. Some heard it as cheeky and fun, others heard audio indecency. The BBC banned it almost immediately for being too suggestive. But by then, the damage, or the magic, was already done. The single climbed into the top 10 on Billboard's Hot 100 and sold over 1 million copies in the United States alone. Critics called it tasteless. Fans called it daring fusion of funk and sensuality. Ironically, the band only amplified its notoriety. DJs smuggled in bootleg copies. Audiences couldn't get enough of its sweaty energy. The Cha-Cha-Chas never scored another hit, but Jungle Fever became a cult classic that resurfaced decades later in the film Boogie Nights and the video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. What was once banned for breathing too loud ended up defining a decade that finally stopped pretending music was innocent. From instrumental scandal to the sermon that forced stations to censor a song they couldn't stop playing. Number 2, Billy Paul, Let's Make a Baby.
Can't you see? Tonight I'm gonna make.
Philadelphia soul had built its reputation on elegance, lush string arrangements, sophisticated horn sections, and romance wrapped in silk.
Let's bring another life into this world.
Then Billy Paul dropped this 1976 track and triggered one of R&B's most heated moral firestorms.
Forevermore, forevermore, I sing.
The production itself was classic Philly soul perfection, sweeping orchestration, subtle percussion, and Paul's signature smooth tenor floating effortlessly over a gentle groove. But the subject matter, that's what made phones ring at radio stations across America. The controversy erupted in Chicago first. Reverend Jesse Jackson branded the song obscene and launched an aggressive campaign to have it pulled from rotation entirely.
By my side is the place you'll be.
Radio stations responded in wildly inconsistent ways. Some created new edits with rewritten lyrics. Others kept spinning the original but refused to speak its title on air, referring to it vaguely as that new Billy Paul record.
Don't be shy, don't be shy.
The dispute made national headlines, transforming what should have been a modest single into a flashpoint for debates about artistic freedom versus community standards. Despite organized boycotts and moral outrage, Let's Make a Baby climbed to number 18 on the R&B chart and cracked the Pop Top 100.
By my side.
The lesson? Sometimes the controversy becomes the marketing, and sometimes radio censorship only proves that people want to hear exactly what you're trying to hide.
Multiply.
From Philadelphia's banned love ballad to the 3-minute track that made a magazine count its way into infamy. Number 1, Donna Summer, Love to Love You Baby. In 1975, a relatively unknown American singer living in Munich walked into a recording studio and created the single most sexually provocative mainstream hit the music industry had ever witnessed. Love to Love You Baby. Co-written with producers Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotte, pushed far beyond suggestion into explicit simulation. Over lush synthesizer strings and a slow pulsing beat that felt like a heartbeat, Donna Summer delivered breathy moans that mimicked ecstasy so convincingly that it shocked even the most liberal radio programmers. The original 16-minute version filled an entire album side, an extended trance designed for European discotheques where dancers lost themselves for hours. The BBC banned it outright, refusing to air even 1 second. Our dual American stations scrambled to create shortened edits, and even those faced resistance. Time magazine famously counted 22 distinct moans. BBC staff insisted there were 23. Civil rights leader Jesse Jackson condemned it as morally corrupting. Churches echoed his disapproval with organized campaigns. None of it mattered. The song soared to number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100, kept from the top spot only by another unstoppable force. It sold over 1 million copies and transformed Summer from unknown vocalist to international controversy magnet overnight. Love to Love You Baby became the definitive anthem of the 1970s sexual revolution. Proof that scandal doesn't kill fame, it amplifies it. And proof that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is refuse to apologize for pleasure.